At Melrose Academy for the Performing Arts, prestige was currency and perfection the only language spoken fluently. Tucked away in a tranquil neighborhood on the outskirts of Boston, the school was a sanctuary for talent, the best and brightest in classical music. Its reputation preceded it. Polished corridors filled with melodies from grand pianos, violins whispering their practice stories, and the soft hum of vocal warm-ups. Generations of prodigies had walked these halls, many going on to win competitions, scholarships, and seats in the most respected symphonies in the country. And nearly all of them had something in common: wealth, connections, and a lineage of expectations. Hidden among these golden children was 14-year-old Sophia Morales, a girl whose presence in the school was more ghost than guest. She didn't wear custom uniforms, didn't ride in chauffeured Blacktown cars, didn't carry the air of entitlement that trailed many of her peers. Her clothes were plain, her shoes always a little too worn, her lunch modest. She wasn't a student. At least, not officially. Her father, Mateo Morales, was the school's head custodian. A quiet man with warm eyes and a back that had long since begun to stoop from years of labor. Every morning, while the sky was still ink dark, he'd sweep the marble floors, clean fingerprints off mirrored practice rooms, and scrub the scuff marks from the studio baseboards. He did it with care, as if the school were a living, breathing entity that deserved his respect. Sophia would accompany him often, not out of obligation, but because the halls of Melrose were her world. She'd wait quietly, doing homework or sketching music notes in a worn notebook, while her father worked. She wasn't allowed to be in the main rehearsal halls, and she never asked to be. She listened. She watched. And sometimes, when no one was around, she practiced on an old violin her father had salvaged from the trash, restored with glue, patience, and love. No one knew this. No one cared to ask. It was a bitter cold December afternoon when everything changed. Snow had begun to collect softly along the school's arched windows. Inside the main auditorium, preparations for the annual Winter Gala were underway. This was Melrose's crown jewel of the year, a grand performance attended by elite patrons, critics, and representatives from major musical institutions. Students vied desperately for a chance to perform. Every piece, every note was scrutinized. It was the kind of event where reputations were born or broken. On that particular day, the string ensemble was mid-rehearsal when disaster struck. One of the second violinists fell ill and had to leave. With the performance only days away, the conductor, Ms. Evelyn Chambers, was frantic. Sharp-featured, impeccably dressed, with a gaze that sliced through excuses, she had no patience for failure. "We cannot delay," she barked. "We need someone to fill that second chair. Now." A few students muttered, uncertain. No one volunteered. That's when she saw Sophia, standing quietly at the back, waiting for her father to finish buffing the auditorium floors. "You," Miss Chambers pointed, her voice icy. "Custodian's daughter. Can you hold a violin?" There was laughter, the snide kind that slithered through privilege and insecurity. Sophia blinked. For a moment, she hesitated. Not because she was afraid of the spotlight, but because she'd never imagined being seen. Slowly, she nodded. "Good," Miss Chambers said sarcastically, already expecting failure. She motioned toward the empty chair and handed her the second violin. "Bar 34. Allegro. Keep up if you can." More laughter. One girl whispered, "This is going to be a train wreck." Sophia said nothing. She adjusted the chin rest with practiced ease and ran her fingers along the strings. She took one breath and began to play. It took only 3 notes for the room to still. By the end of the first line, smirks had vanished. Conversations halted mid-whisper. Her bow moved with a fluidity that was both haunting and powerful, like the music was flowing from some ancient place inside her, untamed and untouched by rigid technique. Each note was not just correct, it was alive. The phrasing, the tempo, the emotional depth. It was as if the violin had chosen her. Miss Chambers, who had been preparing to stop the rehearsal, lowered her baton. Her mouth parted slightly in disbelief. Sophia continued. She didn't look up. She didn't need direction. She didn't need validation. She was home in the music, and the music seemed to rise to greet her. When the final note echoed off the auditorium walls, silence fell. A full 10 seconds passed before anyone moved. Then applause. Real applause. Not polite, not forced. Genuine, stunned clapping that swelled like a wave crashing onto the stage. One senior turned to another, wide-eyed. "She's better than most of us," he whispered. Miss Chambers approached, slowly, the way one might approach a lion who'd been hiding in plain sight. "Where on earth did you learn to play like that?" she asked, voice softer now. Sophia looked up, her voice quiet but firm. "My dad found a broken violin in the trash 2 years ago. I fixed it. I've been learning by listening through the practice room doors while waiting for him." Self-taught. The words rippled through the room. Just then, the school's headmaster, Mr. William Hallbrook, who had entered unnoticed during the performance, stepped forward. "Miss Morales," he said, his tone full of gravity, "would you consider accepting a full scholarship to Melrose Academy?" Gasps followed. Sophia turned. Her father stood in the doorway, cap in hand, tears clinging to the corners of his eyes. She smiled. "Yes, sir. I'd be honored." From that day forward, Sophia's life was transformed, not because the world had finally acknowledged her, but because she had forced it to. She was admitted into the Academy's advanced program, rehearsed with the senior ensembles, and quickly became known as one of the most gifted violinists the school had ever seen. Miss Chambers, once proud and unyielding, changed too. Humbled by what she had nearly missed, she began to question every assumption she had made about talent, privilege, and who truly belongs in spaces like Melrose. Sophia didn't forget where she came from. Every morning, she still arrived early with her father, though now through the front doors. She kept that same violin, scratched and imperfect, as a reminder. She helped younger students. She listened more than she spoke. And every time she played, she poured the entirety of her soul into the strings, not to prove anything, but because it was who she was. One winter night, at the very same winter gala where it all began, Sophia performed a solo piece that left the audience in tears. Members of the Boston Symphony Orchestra approached her afterward. One whispered, "You have something you can't teach." But Sophia already knew that. She had grown up in the halls of music, yes. But more importantly, she had grown up in the echoes of humility, grit, and quiet brilliance. She was her father's daughter, and no title, no institution, no stage could ever define her more than that.